So when Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York forced uh, elderly patients with COVID-19 into nursing homes, that was the most incompetent move any politician has ever made in the history of the United States. And I thought to myself, it can't be that incompetent. He cannot be this incompetent. There must be a financial motive, because every lifelong politician, and Cuomo's the epitome of one, does everything based out of financial motives. So, of course, the mainstream media is left wing, ABC, NBC. They're not gonna cover this in depth. They just basically brushed over it. Well, he didn't realize the severity of the virus at the time, because it was in the beginning. And if you remember in the beginning, when Trump banned the Chinese from coming over, travel from China, and he banned immigration from Mexico, and then he banned Europe, all the Democrats were yelling xenophobic, racist. In fact, in January, when Trump did this, all the Democrats were worried about was impeaching Trump, if you remember. And actually, Governor Cuomo said it was xenophobic to ban flights from China, and he recommended people went down and celebrated the Chinese New Year in New York City. And I seen pictures on the news, all these people hugging and kissing. Democrat Mayor de Blasio and all the Democrats on New York City streets, no masks, partying up a storm. Nancy Pelosi and the Chinese New Year in San Francisco. So in the beginning, none of these Democrats took it serious. So you can say maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was just incompetence. But I'm like, no, there had to be a financial motive. So I did my research, and I found the Wall Street Journal piece, New York Times, New York Post, and I pieced it together. So basically, this was Cuomo's motivation. 2018, during his re-election year, was the Health Association, Greater New York Hospital Association lobbyists. Their lobbyists donated $1 million to Cuomo, which is by far his largest contribution. And in return, it was written in the law that they didn't have to reveal this till after he was inaugurated, so no one knew he even did this. Right after they donated that $1 million, he raised the fee that the state's Medicaid program would pay the nursing homes that trade association represented. And the way he got the money is very corrupt. I just made a video about it. He stole it from the Catholic Church. Basically, if you didn't see my video, I'll just put it in a nutshell for you. The Catholic Church was running a nonprofit helping the needy, and they were in the process of selling it for like $3.7 billion, and they were going to use the profits to build an even bigger charity to help the needy. And Cuomo said, you're giving me $2 billion of that sale, or we're not going to approve it. And they said, well, then maybe we don't want to do the sale. And he said, that's okay. I'll take 80% of your reserves. And this is how these Democrats normally do business, but it's just horrific that he would do that to the Catholic Church, to a nonprofit that's helping the needy in his state. But he did it. And then he took that $2 billion, put it into this hospital fund that he can use at will, and that's what he used to pay the nursing homes that higher fee. So that's why when we had this COVID pandemic, he was forcing the hospitals that had Medicaid patients, because it was Medicaid he was paying, forcing them to give them back to the nursing homes, and he was forcing the nursing homes by an executive order to take these patients, which resulted in like 7,000 deaths. When he was obviously not following the science, because in the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis did the opposite. If you had COVID, you weren't allowed near that nursing home. He locked down the nursing homes. Cuomo did the opposite. He locked down the healthy young people that wanted to work. And he just let the COVID go crazy in the nursing homes. I was a milkman at the time of when the pandemic started, when Cuomo was forcing nursing homes to take COVID-19 patients. And in Florida, when we delivered to nursing homes, I have like several I would deliver milk to, they wouldn't even let me get within 10 feet of the door. I had to call ahead and say, hey, I got a milk delivery. And they would say, leave it outside. And I literally would have to unload, like 50 stacks of milk, crates of milk, and leave them. And then they would come out and take them. There were some that would let you bring it in the back door, but you had to be masked up. They took a temperature check. You had to have gloves, and you had to go into a certain area and leave them. You couldn't go near anybody. So Ron DeSantis did the right thing. He followed the science. He didn't lock down our whole state and put us into a mini depression like Governor Cuomo did. Governor Cuomo's still locking down. When the science is showing the lockdowns don't work, they actually make things worse. But they're not locking people down because they're following the science. They're locking people down because they're dictatorcrats. They're not Democrats, they're dictatorcrats. And I'm going to have more on dictatorcrats in my next video. So there you have it. Governor Cuomo profiting off of the death of our elderly in New York. And the left-wing media wants to make this guy out to be a rock star because they like his style and his tone, and he's dictatorial. We're going to lock down. The left loves dictators, but he's a failure. He handled this pandemic worse than any other governor. He has the highest death rate in the whole country. Governor Cuomo is not only corrupt, but he's a failure. And unfortunately, if Biden steals this election like it looks like he's going to, I'm sure he'll have a place in his cabinet for Cuomo, maybe Attorney General or something at that level, because the left loves incompetency and the left loves dictators. So anyway, just thought you needed to know that. Take care.